Children are not the sum of all their weaknesses. Most education begins with the question, what does this child need to improve? The whole no child left behind idea was to make sure or try to make sure that no child is slower in any academic way than their peers. And I believe this is completely off base. Children, because of this, start to believe that they are the sum of all their weaknesses. But authentic learning begins with a better question. What makes this child come alive? When a child lights up, leans forward, asks questions, keeps working after the activity is over, or talks about something all the way home, we are seeing a clue. That clue may point to one of the child's strengths. It may point to a personal interest. It may even point to a future talent, a calling, a hobby, a career path, a business idea, or even a lifelong passion. In authentic learning, we don't want to miss these clues. And this is where enrichment comes in. Enrichment helps children dive into what they love, what they're good at, and what they may become. One of your jobs is to become a careful observer. Here are some questions you can consider to help you recognize individual strengths, like what does this child choose when given options? What does this child talk about repeatedly? What kinds of activities make this child lose track of time? When does this child show confidence? When does this child help others? Or in what ways does this child help others? What kind of problems does this child enjoy solving? Does this child prefer words, numbers, pictures, movement, music, nature, people, building, or imagination? What does this child keep trying to do even when it's hard? And what makes this child say, can I do more? But also, here's a great hack to help you recognize one of or some of your child's strengths. You notice the things your child complains about. These give us clues to where his strengths lie. For example, if a child reads a book and says, "Oh, it's poorly written," you might have an author on your hands. If a child hears a song and says it's not sung very well, you might have a singer on your hands. If your child complains that somebody's not holding the bat correctly, you might have a baseball player or a coach on your hands, right? And I know this from firsthand. One of my children, as a child, used to complain about the design on the back of a cereal box. He would complain about the colors or how things don't go together well, or how they overlap in a funny way. And he would criticize the design on the back of a cereal box. Well, this kid grew up to go to college to get an art degree, and then he actually became a graphic designer designing boxes, not cereal boxes, but puzzle boxes. And he's supporting his family in doing so because this is one of his innate talents. He was born with certain capabilities that really shine for him. So anyway, I want to share with you, as you know, there are many ways that a child can show intelligences. I want to show you um, the theory, Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. If you have not yet seen this, I want to show it to you real quick. So a lot of times we focus mostly on word smart and logic smart, which is like math, right? The majority of our all the education is all about making sure you think you can make sure that children have word smarts and logic smarts. But there are so many other types of smart, like people smart. So somebody who's good with people, music smart, who's musically inclined and can do very well with a career in music in one way or another. Body smart, this is like athletes. Picture smart, this is artists. Self smart, that's some person who knows themselves well and they are confident in themselves. And nature smart, it's somebody who loves and lives with nature and understands nature and so forth. And really, these are the nine that were mostly identified, but yet there are many other types of intelligences that we can learn from the children and the talents that they have and the ways in which they can show you what they're good at and what they enjoy. They may be great storytellers. They may have great leadership qualities. They may have a sense of humor. They might be the kindest person you know. They may be great at drawing or building or organizing or performing or researching or simply questioning. They may be great at caring for animals or noticing details, solving practical problems, or imagining possibilities, or explaining ideas to others. All of these things are beginnings of wonderful things that they can use to springboard into the next stage of their life. Sometimes adults overlook strengths because they only consider the traditional academic skills of reading and writing and math. Don't fall into this trap. Genius doesn't mean your child needs to be at the very top in their industry. A child's genius may appear as curiosity, persistence, creativity, movement, compassion, or the ability to see things differently. It's the way a child naturally engages with the world. And I want to share with you that and not you're not just looking for the one magical talent that your child has that's going to make all the difference, because many children, I mean, some children have like a laser sharp focus on one thing, but most children have many varied interests, and that's great. A lot of employers like to look for somebody who is a T-shape, where there's a width, a wide variety of interests and abilities and knowledge that a person has, and also depth, where they have deep knowledge on one subject or one thing that will help in their career. So, as you know, Einstein was a great physicist, but did you know he was also a musician? He was an accomplished pianist and violinist. It is believed that the time he spent with music, something that some people would consider to be fluff, was actually, people believe that actually helped him maintain his creativity in his scientific studies. And yet, Einstein himself said, I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious. He considered his insatiable curiosity to be his most important talent, and I totally get that. As children, there are no talents that are off the table. You never know where your child's talents and interests may take her. My own husband has always been interested in comedy, but the real world led him to the insurance industry. Nevertheless, his comedy has crept into what many people would think as an otherwise very bland industry. He has written a humorous guide that is both lighthearted and informative, and it teaches people about their insurance options. People love it, and it helps them want to do business with them, and it's great. Just one example of how multiple interests can help in working together to create something even better. But of course, you already know that your child's interests are constantly changing, and that's great. There is no reason to insist that a child maintains their interests for any length of time. It's okay if he's wholly excited and passionate about one thing one day and has zero interest in it the very next day. The time he spent on those interests is not wasted, and you never know when they might resurface. The fleeting interests still contribute to the width of the T shape that makes each person a unique individual. So once we notice a strength or an interest, we can help the child build on it. If a child loves drawing, invite her to illustrate what the class is learning. If a child loves building, invite him to make a model. If a child loves animals, help her research animals connected to the topic of the week. If a child loves people, let him interview someone or work with a partner. If a child loves performance, let her act out a scene, record a video, or give a dramatic presentation of the information. If a child loves fun facts, give him a chance to become the class expert on something. If a child loves nature, Connect the weekly topic to plants, animals, weather, landforms, or other outdoor observation. The goal is to help kids use their strengths as a bridge into deeper learning. We are not forcing children into our mold. We are helping them grow from who they already are. With that, I want to talk about self-actualization. We are helping them grow toward their own self-actualization, which is, it's a big word, but the idea is simple. It means becoming the fullest and best version of yourself. For children, that does not mean they already know their life purpose or their career path. That means they are discovering what they love, what they're good at, what they care about, what they can contribute. They are discovering how they learn best and how they can grow and how their gifts can help others. Authentic learning helps move children towards self-actualization because it treats them as whole people, not just test takers, right? When children have chances to explore personal interests, they begin to know themselves. They begin to think, I'm someone who likes science, or I'm good at building things, or I love stories, or I can help younger kids, or I'm a good observer, or I can create something beautiful, or I can solve problems, or I have ideas that are worth sharing. That kind of self-knowledge is powerful. A child who knows his strengths is more confident. A child who has explored their interests is more motivated. A child who has created meaningful work begins to see herself as capable. A child who has shared his work begins to see that he has something to contribute. This is when children move from trying to be like everyone else to actually being the best version of themselves because everyone is genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Psychologist Abraham Maslow said, he who belies his talent, the born painter who sells stockings instead, or the intelligent man who lives a stupid life, perceives in a deep way that they have done wrong to themselves and despise themselves for it. Conversely, he also said that a musician must make music, an artist must paint, a poet must write if he is to be ultimately at peace within himself. He must be true to his own nature. And so it is with each child. It is vital that they do the things that they were designed to do. For this reason, we want to find ways to support children to explore the things that are most meaningful to them, whether on their own or in a class. We want to enrich the natural talents that and interests of each child. Many families enroll their children in after-school classes, tutoring, and teams. Parents often purchase supplies and equipment that their children need to explore their interests at home. And this is wonderful. Parents, keep it up. But when children are in school for many hours every day of the week, it's important for the school to also try to enhance these natural gifts of each student whenever possible. This is where the enrichment classes come into play. Enrichment is not just extra fluff after the real learning is done. It is one of the most powerful ways to help children discover their strengths. It builds on their personal interests and help them move toward becoming who they are meant to become. These classes or affinity groups can be about almost anything because children are not all interested in the same things. Whenever possible, a school can offer classes that provide enrichment in various and even overlapping interests. For example, one of my favorite enrichment classes that we've done is pets and poetry, where students learn about taking care of household pets at the same time practicing poetry, or our puzzling art class, where students explore secret messages and optical illusions through hands-on activities. We provide a variety of enrichment lessons that each have a certain focus for 6 weeks, yet still relate back to the theme for the year. For example, here are some of the titles of our enrichment lessons. for our STEAM World theme that's inspired by Around the World in 80 Days. One is sports around the world, another is Indian cooking, another is science fair projects, and there is international music. Because not everything fits perfectly into the theme, we will toss in some classes that are specifically of the students' interests, like coding or robotics. Each of these lesson plans is designed to run 1 hour a week for 6 weeks. They give the students an opportunity to explore something that they're interested in for a full 6 weeks. That said, these lessons can be adapted to run 1 hour a day for 5 days if that works better for your class. We provide 6 new enrichment lesson plans for each component. And I encourage you to choose those enrichment plans. You don't need to use all of them. There's more than you need because you can pick and choose among those lessons. Choose the ones that would be most meaningful to your students. They are designed to give teachers options and to help you avoid the pressures of inventing everything yourself. So I want to show you how to use the lesson plans that we write. Here is one of our lesson plans. This one is from our National Treasure year. It's called an International Foods and Cooking. In the second National Treasure movie, the treasure hunter went to France, um, England, and they went to the North Pole, and they went to, well, and they looked at things that were of pre-Mexico history. Anyway, in this class, well, we have the weekly format. There is a list of materials, and it's kind of long because this particular class is about food, which has a lot of food that goes into it. We touch on the California Standards alignment. This is just for your reference. This is not because it's important to us, but because some people who use our lessons, it is necessary for them to keep track of standards that are covered. Anyway, week 1 is French cooking. The children discuss French cuisine, taste some French flavors, and they get to cook a French dish. In this case, it's French radishes with butter and salt. The children also each week are creating recipe files for them to take home. And they also are preparing for week 6, which is going to be an international food festival. So for each week, they show a map of the country where the cuisine is from. They talk about the history of the region, and they draw and label some of the common foods and spices. And each week, they're making a poster as part of their international food festival. So that's week 1. Week 2 is British cuisine, and the children are making lavender London lemonade and making the recipe card and preparing for the food festival. Week 3 is Arctic and Icelandic cuisine, and they're making Icelandic pancakes. Week 4 is Irish food, where they're doing Irish champ and sausages. Week 5 is Mexican cuisine, and they're making Mexican salsa with tortilla chips. A lot of fun. Then week 6 is their International Food Festival week, and they prepare by setting up the room with the 5 stations and their posters. They're making final preparations as they prepare the food to be that they're going to share with the participants, and they put the finishing touches on their recipe files. And then they go ahead and hold the food festival. A lot of times week 6 is a time to bring family and friends in to experience what the children have been working on over the full component. So that just gives you an idea. And I want to show you how the enrichment lessons fit in a full week of authentic learning. So this schedule right here is if you have the students for a full 5 days a week, a full-time school. Enrichment classes are great when they're held in the afternoon. So you do the workshop and fireworks and skills practice in the morning and spend the afternoon with enrichment. This example has 4 enrichment classes each day. Monday might be the cooking class. Tuesday might be the art class. It's a different class each week, which then is revisited on the following week for an hour for the full 6 weeks as they go throughout the component. If you have children for less than full time, I like to do enrichment class all in one day. So this is an example. If you have the students 3 days a week, you do workshop and long-term projects on Monday, a full day of fireworks on Tuesday. You can go on an outing on Wednesday with all the families, and then I've got a full day of enrichment. If you only have the students 2 days a week, the one day is for workshop and the second day would be for enrichment. Let the families then at that point do the fireworks at home. And then if you only have the students for one day a week, you do workshop to introduce a topic each week. You can do an enrichment class in the afternoon of your workshop day. And so that's just an example of how you can utilize enrichment classes for the students that you're teaching. So enrichment is one of the places where authentic learning becomes personal. It gives students room to explore, create, research, build, question, share, and grow within their individual strengths. It helps teachers recognize the genius in each child. It helps students build confidence in their strengths. And over time, it helps children move toward self-actualization, toward becoming the fullest version of who they were created to be. So, as you use the enrichment lessons, don't think of them as extra activities. Think of them as opportunities. These are opportunities for children to lean into what they love, what they can do, and who they are becoming. This is the real power of enrichment. I'm excited to see the creative ways in which you are able to support the children in your life to be their best selves. In the next video, I'll show you how to use long-term projects for individuals and classes and to make the most out of those projects. And I look forward to seeing you then. Bye.